Looking back across the decades of my life, I often pause at the quiet beginnings, those moments that seemed insignificant at the time but laid the foundation for a gentle transformation I never anticipated. As a young boy growing up in a modest suburban home, I carried the weight of expectations early on. My father worked long hours in a factory, teaching me that strength meant silence and endurance. My mother, warm yet burdened by her own responsibilities, encouraged me to be the reliable son who excelled at school and helped with chores. The world around me felt structured and unyielding: sports teams where I pretended enthusiasm, friendships built on shared bravado, and the constant pressure to fit into a mold that never quite suited my inner sensitivities. Loneliness crept in during my teenage years. While peers navigated the turbulence of adolescence with outward confidence, I withdrew into books and solitary walks. Emotional struggles manifested as a persistent ache, a sense of disconnection from the roles I was expected to play. I coped by retreating to my room, where small acts of self-care began to emerge. One rainy afternoon, sorting through old clothes in the attic, I found a soft silk scarf that belonged to my grandmother. Holding it brought an unexpected comfort, its texture a soothing contrast to the rough fabrics of my everyday wardrobe. I draped it around my shoulders briefly, feeling a momentary ease in the solitude. It was not a bold declaration, but a private whisper of something softer within me. As I entered my early 20s, life accelerated. College demanded focus on a practical degree in business, followed by entry-level jobs that left little room for reflection. The pressures of everyday life, deadlines, financial worries, and the need to appear competent and masculine intensified my internal isolation. Evenings blurred into fatigue, and weekends offered scant relief. Yet, in those quiet hours alone in my small apartment, I began experimenting with simple habits. A warm bath became a ritual, followed by applying a gentle lotion that left my skin feeling cared for. I noticed how such small gestures softened the edges of my anxiety, creating space for introspection. I reflected on how society's expectations had shaped me, pushing aside vulnerabilities in favor of resilience defined narrowly. The scarf reappeared in my thoughts, symbolizing a hidden desire for balance. Slowly, without external prompts or dramatic revelations, I allowed curiosity to guide me toward exploring fabrics and styles that evoked calm. A loose robe purchased on a whim for comfort after a long day became a sanctuary. These were not transformations born of rebellion but of necessity, a way to nurture the emotional self that had long been neglected. In those early stages, the process felt organic, like tending a garden unseen by others. I journaled sporadically, noting how these private moments fostered a deeper understanding of my identity. Loneliness, once a void, transformed into a companion for self-discovery. The gentle pull towards softer expressions of self emerged as a coping mechanism, one that honored my struggles rather than denying them. Resilience, I learned, included the courage to seek inner harmony amid external demands. As memories of those years surface now, I see them as the first tender steps on a path toward wholeness, where self-expression through clothing and care became a quiet language of healing. Approximately 49-80 characters. Entering my 30s, the weight of adult responsibilities compounded the emotional undercurrents I had begun to recognize. A stable but demanding career in corporate management consumed my days, filled with meetings, performance reviews, and the perpetual need to project unwavering confidence. Marriage came and went, a relationship marked by mutual affection yet eroded by unspoken distances and my growing internal solitude. The pressures of maintaining a household, navigating social obligations, and suppressing moments of doubt left me exhausted. Loneliness evolved from a teenage ache into a profound emptiness, even in the company of colleagues or family gatherings where conversations stayed superficial. In the privacy of my home, after the world's demands receded, my personal rituals deepened gradually. What started with a scarf and lotion expanded into mindful selections of comfortable undergarments and loungewear that aligned with a softer self-image. I recall evenings spent browsing fabrics online, choosing items not for show but for the sensory peace they provided, the smooth glide of stockings against skin after a stressful day, or the enveloping warmth of a flowing garment that allowed my posture to relax. These habits were born from emotional necessity, a way to counterbalance the rigidity of professional life. Reflection became central during this period. I pondered the fragments of my past: the boy who felt out of place on the playing field, the young man who smiled through discomfort at social events. Journal entries grew more frequent, exploring how these private expressions fostered resilience. The transformation was never hurried. It unfolded through subtle shifts in mindset. I began to question the binary notions of strength I had internalized, realizing that true balance involved integrating tenderness with determination. Nights of insomnia led to longer rituals, dim lighting, soft music, and the deliberate act of dressing in ways that felt authentic to my inner world. A simple dress, chosen for its modest elegance and comfort, became a vessel for processing loneliness. Slipping into it, I felt layers of tension release, allowing memories of past hurts to surface and soften. No audience witnessed these moments. They were sacred, internal dialogues with myself. Over months and years, this practice cultivated emotional understanding, revealing identity as fluid and multifaceted rather than fixed by external labels. The everyday pressures, bills, career ambitions, societal judgments, persisted, yet my private world offered sanctuary. I cultivated habits of self-care that extended beyond clothing: mindfulness walks in nature, where I imagined shedding the armor of the day, and reading literature that celebrated introspection. These elements wove together into a coping tapestry, gentle and personal. Loneliness, once overwhelming, became a teacher, guiding me towards self-compassion. The slow emergence of this feminized expression was not forced by crisis, but invited by a quiet yearning for equilibrium. As I review these memories, I recognize the resilience required to honor such a path amid conformity's pull, fostering a deeper connection to my authentic self. Approximately 50-20 characters. By my mid-40s, life had settled into patterns both predictable and quietly challenging. Health concerns arose alongside career plateaus, amplifying feelings of vulnerability. Family responsibilities shifted as parents aged and needed support, adding emotional layers to my days. The loneliness that had shadowed me intensified during solitary evenings, when the house felt too large and the silence too heavy. Yet, it was within this space that my transformation continued its unhurried course, rooted in habitual self-expression that now felt integral to my well-being. Private rituals evolved with greater intentionality. Mornings might begin with selecting attire that blended seamlessly into my routine yet carried personal significance: a blouse under a neutral jacket for remote work days, or delicate accessories that remained hidden but provided tactile reassurance. Evenings were reserved for fuller expressions, preparing a simple meal, then changing into garments that evoked grace and calm. The act of dressing became meditative, each layer a step toward releasing the day's burdens. Fabrics whispered against my skin, reminding me of the nurturing I owed myself. Introspection deepened through this practice. I revisited life stages with newfound clarity: the youthful pressures that taught endurance, the adult struggles that highlighted disconnection. Writing reflections, I explored how crossdressing, in its gentle form, served as a bridge to unresolved emotions. It was not escapism but integration, allowing me to embody aspects of identity long sidelined. Resilience manifested in the consistency of these habits, building emotional fortitude against life's uncertainties. The search for inner balance influenced broader habits. I engaged more mindfully with my body and mind, incorporating yoga and herbal teas into evenings of self-care. Loneliness transformed from isolation into fertile ground for creativity. I sketched outfits in a notebook, experimenting with colors that soothed my spirit. These acts reinforced a mindset shift, from viewing myself through external lenses to embracing an internal harmony where masculine and feminine energies coexisted peacefully. Pressures of everyday life continued: professional expectations, social niceties, health maintenance, but my private world acted as a counterbalance. No dramatic events propelled change. Instead, Accumulated small insights accumulated like sediment, forming a stable foundation. I felt the quiet power of self-acceptance emerging, not as a destination, but as an ongoing journey. Memories of awkward early attempts now brought tenderness, illustrating growth through patience. This phase solidified the transformation as a vital coping mechanism, one that honored my full humanity. Approximately 4990 characters. As I approached my 50s, a cumulative wisdom infused my reflections. Career wins shifted toward retirement planning, while personal losses, friends drifting, health reminders of mortality, deepened the emotional landscape. Loneliness, though familiar, no longer dominated. It coexisted with a cultivated inner companionship forged through years of ritual. The feminized aspects of my life had become a seamless thread in my daily existence, evolving through habitual choices and mindset refinements rather than abrupt shifts. Habits matured into a cohesive practice. Evenings often involved curating a personal space, soft lighting, chosen music, and attire that reflected evolving tastes, elegant yet understated pieces that celebrated comfort and beauty. The process of transformation was introspective. I meditated on identity as a spectrum, where expressing femininity complemented my inherent strengths. Journaling captured this evolution, tracing how emotional struggles, once suppressed, now found voice and resolution in these private moments. Resilience took on new dimensions. Facing societal expectations remained a background hum, but my internal balance rendered them less oppressive. I navigated interactions with greater authenticity, carrying the calm from my rituals into the world. The quiet search for harmony revealed layers of self-understanding, vulnerabilities as sources of empathy, solitude as opportunity for renewal. Crossdressing, in this context, symbolized a profound act of self-love, bridging past fragments into a unified present. Everyday pressures, financial reviews, family duties, personal upkeep persisted, yet my coping rituals provided perspective. A particularly reflective period followed a minor health scare, prompting deeper gratitude for the body and spirit I tended so carefully. Changes in habits, like incorporating skincare routines or selecting jewelry that felt meaningful, reinforced emotional clarity. Loneliness yielded to a sense of completeness within myself. This stage marked a pivotal integration, where the gradual transformation fostered resilience against life's ebb and flow. Memories of earlier loneliness now evoked compassion for my younger self, affirming the path's value. The personal nature of this journey ensured its purity. No external validation needed, only the peace derived from honest expression. Approximately 50-10 characters. In the later years, now reflecting from a place of hard-earned tranquility, the tapestry of my life comes into full view. The gentle transformation that began in youth has matured into a cornerstone of my existence, offering profound emotional clarity. Pressures of everyday life have softened with age and perspective. Retirement brings quieter days, filled with reading, gardening, and continued self-care. Loneliness, once a heavy companion, has transmuted into peaceful solitude enriched by inner connection. My rituals remain a source of joy and balance, selecting outfits that honor both my history and present self, each choice an affirmation of identity. Through decades of introspection, I have embraced the full spectrum of my being, recognizing resilience in the courage to nurture what society often overlooks. The search for inner harmony, pursued privately and gradually, has yielded self-acceptance that radiates outward. No longer fragmented by unacknowledged struggles, I move through days with lasting inner peace. Memories of all stages weave together into a narrative of growth, where coping evolved into celebration of self. This feminized life, entered not by force but through tender necessity, has become my truest expression, a testament to the quiet power of authenticity. In this clarity, I find profound gratitude for the journey, whole and at peace. Approximately 4980 characters.